Warhammer fans. Welcome to the Andrew and Remington Steel Show featuring Amy Snuggs. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and everything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Come on, it's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night.
Wonderful intro as always, Mr. Remington. As you can see, folks, I've got a brand new hairstyle. It's kind of disappointing for me to report that people weren't able to see my hair completely shaved off. Because I'm such an unnatural god of hair growth, apparently, it's grown to this stage, although it has gone completely grey now, after only a matter of hours. So I'm going to have to apologise to the people that haven't seen any, well, no footage actually exists of me with no hair, because, quite frankly, as soon as it was sheared off, it was immediately sprouting up. This has actually already been trimmed about half a dozen times today. So, sorry to disappoint you folks.
Why did you cut that hair of yours, Andy?
Well, that was actually for charity.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
No, people were asking me, was I gonna cut my hair? And I said, you think the thing is, my hair is much like Samson of the Israelites. This is the source of all my good ideas, $1 million ideas, in fact. So I couldn't do it, but I did say I would shave my bodily hair. But I got one like for that comment. It just wasn't enough.
Well, who was it that liked that comment?
I can't remember.
Well, I'm going to have to look up whoever it was, because that one person must be one person that actually knows how much body hair you do have.
It's not a lot. It's not too much. You know, I'm blessed with a nice little tuft there.
We've seen most of your body on this show before, I think.
There's always more, Andy. There's always more to see.
There is. You've got to keep people waiting, haven't you?
That's right.
Feverish anticipation.
And talking of waiting, we've been waiting how long for the new Age of Sigmar releases? But where there is a few birdies tweeting things, and there's a few things that people upstairs at Games Workshop might not want to tell you, but Remington Steel has the inside scoop.
Yes, so later on we'll be getting to Remington's rumour mill. But, of course, we have our guest who, by virtue of my multiple haircuts over the last 24 hours, has now the most luxurious head of hair on the show. That is, of course, legendary painter and Warlords veteran now, Amy Snuggs. Hello there.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
We're wonderful. We're wondering if you've recovered from your 2-day-long Age of Sigmar extravaganza.
Yeah, just about. Yesterday was pretty much like a lazing around day, because luckily I had the week off. I felt sorry for the people who had to go back to work yesterday after it. It was really fun, but it was quite tiring.
Do you have any battle scars, Amy?
No.
Maybe one or two mental ones.
Came away unscathed.
Wow. Now, I looked at the results table, and I saw out of the 5 games you played, you did actually win.
I did, yeah.
Was it one or two?
I did at one point think that I was going to lose all of my games dramatically and be, and to be honest, that wouldn't have mattered at all, because I don't really, I wasn't there to sort of win games, and I don't think I would have been able to win all of them anyway.
But however,
yeah.
Amy, I noticed you had a major victory.
Yeah.
Wow. Tell us about that.
It was the Places of Power battle plan from the General's Handbook, which is basically the one where you have the I think it's 4 objectives on the field, and only heroes can claim them.
Okay.
And it just came down to the fact that I had 5 heroes in my army, and my opponent only had 3, I think.
So he couldn't get a major victory.
Yeah, I mean, it was so basically he had the Knight Venator, the Lord Celestin and the Lord Celestin on Dracoth. And in like the second turn, I think it was, I teleported my Fulminators and basically took out the Ninth Venator straight away. And then it was just the Lord Celestin on Dracoth and his Lord Celestin left. So it was, and basically when your hero claims the objective, you get the number of victory points for how many turns you've held it. So in my first turn, I basically ran everything forward to claim the victory points at the end of the turn. So I had the first turn. I think that really does benefit you, I think, in those games. But
Amy,
I think
it really sounds like you know what you're talking about. It really does. I'm impressed. I mean, usually with me, I just put everything forward and then it kind of gets a bit unstuck at that point. But I'm very impressed.
Maybe I just sound like I know what I'm talking about, but yeah, I'm quite a sort of run forward and attack sort of person. I don't feel like I have a lot of tactics. I guess maybe some things I sort of sound like a good idea.
I mean, so if the audience don't know what we're talking about, last weekend at Warhammer World was the Warlords' first matched play Age of Sigmar event, and there was about 100 or so competitors. Me and Andy went down there on the Friday, really just to basically give it our blessing as celebrity YouTube hangouts.
Yeah, we had to kind of douse the area in holy water.
Exactly, and a lot of people, were rushing to come and meet me anyway. Andy was waiting in Bugman's bar, but we took a picture of that moment. I put that on Facebook for everyone to see. That was his A-list celebrity welcome. It was a bit different.
They actually cleared it out for me, like they do when celebrities want to play in a Games Workshop store. They kind of empty it out. That's what they did for me in Bugman's. I wanted to go and order some food.
Nevertheless, I think people were just probably a bit too nervous to approach you, Andy, weren't they? They just didn't. When they see someone that's such a big hit on the Wi-Fi waves of this world, it's hard to know what to say. So I think a lot of people were just probably getting on with their games and thinking, maybe he'll approach me or something.
It is, and we'll talk all about our Friday adventure to Warhammer World in a little bit after we finish talking about Warlords. But before we do that, it's about time. People have been chatting away. We have to at least acknowledge that they are here. Let's have a look at the fabled active users list, shall we? So we have Bazooka J. Rambo, Dark Adrenaline, which sounds like a Chaos ability, Dino Titan Edition, Gary Waddingham, Bloom Dreddy Gaming, Graham Rigg, Grave Danger, Mark Harvey, Mickey Genver, Mini Warrior, Auric Love God, Rob Lloyd, Sweet, Sam H, Slough Witch, don't think I've seen that name before, Stronghold TV, The Soul Assassin, and of course, Newbie. And, a few more people have popped in while I was saying that. Skeleton Flower, Ben B, Jacob Labotka, and Ratface and Stu Gibson and Sebastian Blau and Oyvind Lawson. So it's an ultimate packed house tonight. We've got 55 viewers at the moment, which isn't quite the 700 that Warhammer TV had on their live stream.
No,
we're getting there slowly.
And hosting that live stream, I thought there were two quite charismatic guys doing it. I think they did really, really well. Basically, giving the audience like 8 hours of constant commentary of the interviews and obviously overseeing the battle reports on Table 1. And although it was the first time I've seen Games Workshop do it, I thought they did brilliantly. They really did. And I know that they're going to just make it better and better from now on.
They definitely had all the tech that was required for the job. And the two hosts, you could imagine they were probably out on their feet by the end, but they did do well to try and keep the energy up. And they had those little intermissions where they would cut away to various interviews, one of which we may talk about in a minute. Obviously talking to the people who had particularly nicely painted armies, or winners of the games, or winners of the game that they just showed on Table 1.
So, Amy, I heard that the armies that people brought, out of 100 people, it was mainly Order, next came Chaos, and third was Destruction, and the smallest represented one was Death. That'd be right. And they said the most popular army was Moon Clan Grots.
Yeah. We sort of went round and looked at all the armies on the lunch times, and there were quite a lot actually. I think I remember seeing that, and a lot of Stormcast and a couple of Sylvaneth ones there, and a few Iron Jaws ones. So there was a real nice big mix of things. But I think the one thing to notice about a lot of the armies there was how well painted a lot of armies were. That I think pretty much, most of the armies there were amazing to look at, and you look at them and you think, wow, like you've got standout centerpiece models. You've got really good painted models on pretty much every table, and all the people that I played against had really nice painted models. So it was so nice just to kind of to see the wonderful display of hobby there as well.
Without naming any names, were there any armies there that you thought, what are you doing bringing that pile of garbage to a tournament? Anything that was just like sprayed black?
I don't know. Actually, I don't think so. I think, and that's not me trying to be nice. I think honestly there were loads of really, really good armies, and I can't really remember seeing an army and thinking, but I don't think I really would ever think that anyway. So there was a couple of ones that were really stand out. There was, I think they might have talked about it on the stream. There was this really nice Seraphon army that was really brightly painted. I don't know if anybody saw that, but that was quite unusual sort of scheme. But I think it looked really well and it really stood out. So there was quite a few armies that were like, sort of caught your eye really, really, really easily. So,
Amy, did you find that the models that were better painted did better in battles?
I don't know. I guess I can only really compare to the ones I played against.
I think what it wants to know is, did your Stardrake die in turn 1 every game or not?
Funnily enough, it actually did. It died quite quickly in the first game and second game. I think there was only one game where it lived till the end, and yeah. So I think it was because most people kind of saw it as a target and went straight for it, and just sort of mobbed it with pretty much everything they could.
Wow. Did it break your heart?
It was quite sad, yeah, to take it off. And I thought, oh.
I mean, you spent a month painting that monster, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then someone takes it off first round. I suppose that's why going to a tournament is good, because then you've always got another game around the corner, haven't you? I was just telling you before that after one game, I feel mentally exhausted. But Amy, you did 4 games on the Saturday and 2 on the Sunday.
Yeah, it was 3 on Saturday, 3 on the Sunday. Yeah.
How did you feel after the first day?
Exhausted, to say the least. But then weirdly, I feel like Sunday I felt less tired, and I don't know if that was just kind of like adrenaline starting to kick in, or just starting to get used to it.
If it's anything like when I used to play Sunday League football, when you're in the moment, all right, it's all just going crazy and everything, and you're thinking, what am I doing? I feel a bit sick. And then you just get to your second wind, right? But then afterwards, when you sat in the pub chatting it, you remember every single detail. Was it like that when you were, sat, on your own or with your partner later on? Was you just going through everything in your head, thinking, oh, I should have done that, or that bit was great?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. When you think of the fact that you get 2.5 hours for each game, which sounds like a long time, and to be fair, well, some people actually, used up the entire time. I think only one of my games went down to like half an hour left of the time when we finished. But like some games finished really early, and whether that was just because the game was really quick. But yeah, like afterwards you kind of think, oh my God, 2.5 hours have just flown by, and you don't really notice it. And
now, are you one of those players, a bit like Andy? Do you fight to the bitter end, or do you sort of see that there's no hope and you shake hands?
You cave in like Remington, is what he's asking.
Well, the thing is with this tournament was that the number of points of models that you killed actually counted as well. So it wasn't just sort of like the major minor victories for the actual mission that you were doing. You also basically calculated up the number of models that you killed, and therefore handed that in, and that dictated where you ended up on the leaderboard. So in the last game, I think we got pretty much 10-3, I think, and then I realised actually there was no way that I could win, and he was definitely going to win. But then we kind of thought, actually, well, we'll carry on, because I might be able to get some more points and then maybe get higher on the leaderboard.
So did you find yourself going into the Remington round? And if you don't know what the Remington round is when you realise you can't win the battle, but you pinpoint an enemy model and you say, right, before I die, I'm going to take that one out just to spite you.
Isn't that usually your turn one?
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like when a troll slayer dies, he just flings his last axe in the air. You know?
Yeah.
Did you have any moments like that?
Yeah, there was one game where I played Iron Jaws and he had his Maw Crusher left. And I didn't really know exactly what the Maw Crusher did, but it kind of looked real sort of scary on the field. And basically most of my army was taken out by like sort of 10.
Oh my God.
I think but not by the Maw Crusher, more by just basically the destruction, extra D6 movement and all of that. And I thought, I don't think I'll be able to take the Maw Crusher down, but he was quite easily defeated actually. So I was quite sort of happy to do that, even though I knew that I was going to lose anyway.
So you took the Maw Crusher out?
Yeah.
Lovely.
I think it was with one Tempesta. I mean, and the Tempesta Dracoths are good, but when you kind of feel like there was only one of them, and Tempestas, I feel like they're not the best. I think because I also had Fulminators, and they're definitely better.
Now Andy knows all about Fulminators, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Do I?
Are they the guys on the dragons with the big hammers?
No,
they've got
those are the
big sort of like
concussors.
lances.
They've got the lances.
Yes.
So what are they good at? Are they good on the charge then?
Yeah, they do like 3. So when they charge, their weapon does 3 damage instead of 1.
So you basically approached the Maw Crusher, full on charge, and like stuck him like a hat full of pins in it.
Yeah.
And what happens when a Maw Crusher dies? Does it explode or does it roll over or does it crush you?
No, I don't know. It didn't do anything like that. I don't know what its rules are, but I didn't know anything like that.
I think the old players give out a kind of reverse wow, which is just oh.
Now, did you notice anyone? Sorry, I'm just really excited, so that's why I'm really chatty at the minute because it's just been a great weekend of Warhammer. And did you hear anyone cry or shout when they did a dice roll?
There was quite a few people shouting, and then it would cause you to kind of look around. Yeah.
Did you hear anyone cry Remington?
No.
Well, you see, that's interesting because we had our big game on the Friday before it, and it was myself and a guest at Warhammer World. Lovely.
I can get a picture up right now. In fact,
get that picture up, Andy, because you're going to love this. So Andy brought his dwarves, right, and yes, that's us there at Warhammer World. You can see I'm looking a bit blitzed there in the middle, but still fairly handsome. Yeah. And then Andy's just got his tongue out licking something. And on the on the right there is another guest of ours, lovely guy. He turned up with, what did he bring? Sylvaneth. Okay, so it was Sylvaneth and Dwarves versus my Savage Oryx and a bunch of Ratmen.
at this point, I'm just going to remind you not to spoil the result.
I won't spoil
when
the
it appears in battle report form, people won't be ruined already.
I won't spoil the result. All I'll say is, the very first turn, I cried Remington and lost a giant through a realm gate. Okay? And then the second turn, the guy on Andy's side started using the Remington roll. And he was shouting Remington and rolling sixes every time. I swear to God. I was working out the chances. He had more chance of winning the lottery than the amount of sixes he rolled. Yep. Need a 6 to save? Yep. D6 wounds? 6? Yep. Every time.
How about whenever you were about to roll the dice, he would shout Remington, and then it would come up with a big pile of ones.
It was unbelievable. So Remington doesn't seem to work for me at the moment because other people have just stolen my mojo. So anyone out there playing a game, try shouting Remington. I guarantee you'll do well with that. Yep. This is the month for stealing ideas.
Indeed.
And boy, do I have some great ideas.
The chap who was on your team, though,
yes,
Mr. Remington, for the game, came over all the way from Germany.
Amazing.
Warlords, apparently.
Amazing. He came straight up to us, didn't he? He says, "Oh, I watch your show, but I'm not on Facebook, so I can't comment or anything." But
there was quite a few people that came up to me while I was at Warlords, actually, and said that they watched the show, which I thought was great.
Yes, Pete Forreston, that was his name. Pete, lovely guy. So yeah, Amy, yeah, I met quite a few celebrities like yourself on the Friday. We met Dan Heelan and Wayne from Heelan Hammer.
Yeah.
We met the guy from Bad Dice.
Yeah.
Really cool guy.
Ben.
And Ben Curry. He's invited me up to Derby to join his gaming club. And obviously a lot of Games Workshop staff that just, as soon as they found out we were there, they came out of their offices and just come straight up to us.
That's cool.
How
do you find that? Like, because I'd be walking around Warhammer World and like you'd get some of the staff like so if you hold the door open for them and they'd be like, "Thank you, Amy," and I'm like, "How do you know my name?"
Wow. Well, you see, you're revered. I think we're more like laughed at, and you know.
Hey, I don't know about
that. So what's next on the agenda? I mean, I've got plenty to say, Andy, but it's your turn to talk, I think.
Well, here's one thing I want to know about Amy's Warlords experience, because there were a couple of lists in particular featured on the live streams that may have inspired people out there to go out and spend untold amounts of money on new armies because they seemed like they were horrifically overpowered or just really, really good in some way. So did you face any of the kind of bone splitter Araboy spam or the long line of fire slayers that are basically invulnerable to damage, anything like that?
No, the armies that I went against was Beastclaw Raiders, which was actually my friend Gary, and yeah, Beastclaw Raiders are pretty nasty with the mortal wounds. Then I went against Eldritch Council, which was interesting because I've never played against elves really.
So that's the high elves then, basically. It's like dragon lancers and.
Yeah, so you had like dragons spitting out mortal wounds as well, and all of the elves doing loads of attacks. Then I played Iron Jaws, which was really good. Really enjoyed that game. I think, although it was like, I mean, because he used the D6 Destruction and Allegiance ability, and I think they have another ability which gives him another D6 movement. So by 10-1, he was in combat with my Fulminators at the back of the board, and I was like, oh no, I lost them. But it was really fun, and I really enjoyed playing them. And because of that,
Uh-oh.
look what I did.
Oh no, you didn't, did you? You did. You did, Amy. I warned you. So long ago.
So this is an exclusive actually, because I've already started painting them. And,
well, there you go.
So I haven't even posted a photo of them yet, but I'm still sort of working on a scheme.
Wow.
I think I've picked one I like, so I'll be working on it tomorrow, and hopefully, so I'll get some work in progress photos shown up. But yeah,
brilliant.
They were really good to play against, and I thought I really like them. I'd like to do a little small force of them.
Yeah, they're chunky, aren't they? And all kind of multiple wound models, right?
Yeah.
So we noticed, right, that a few players, in fact, the player that won with the Savage Orcs, were using a special rule for destruction in the General's Handbook and combining that with army special rules from the Battle Tomes.
Mm.
And the guy that won it used the destruction special ability to move extra inches, combining with one of the Savage Rocks, which is in this book, which gives the Savage Orcs another ability to shoot in the hero phase, and then do another shooting round in the shooting phase. And when you're talking about 70 Savage Auric archers shooting 2 shots per round, that becomes 280 shots in one turn.
It was quite obscene. On the stream, they were saying it was something like a maximum of like 400 or 500 shots per turn from that army.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, the way it was done, it seemed like it was all in good spirits. It wasn't any like really gamey, but thinking about it now, I mean, like, do you think people are working out ways to defeat this kind of list now? I mean, how would you go about it?
On the stream, they did have some good advice, actually. One, you can take out characters that administer all these buffs that stack up. 2, you can only take troops that have ridiculously high saves. There are certain troops where you can get, there's like a 2+ save and re-rolling the 1s because they have shields, because those Araboys don't have any rend, you see. So you're not going to be failing too many armor saves against that while you're getting into combat, are you? So there are things you can do, but unless you specifically prepare for those kind of lists, which everyone's bound to after watching it streamed live around the world, then sometimes if you're caught off guard by something like that, you're completely dead, aren't you?
Mm.
That's generally how it would work, I think.
Yeah, and so which models have this 2-up save? Would it be the Sigmarites?
There are certainly some Stormcast troops that have excellent saves.
Yeah. It was really fun to watch. I loved it. You know, when he brought this move out of the hat, everyone was going crazy because it looked like he was just going to get trolloped first turn when these storm fiends, which are just like armored giant rats with guns, teleported next to his ball boys and just destroyed them in one round. But it was all a ruse, really, to get his strongest unit up the board and tangled up in a web of arrows, so to speak. Really, really enjoyed that. And we saw Ben Curry play with his Chaos Dwarves. And that was a closely fought battle, but I think he might have just lost that one. And there's one more that I watched. I think it was the very first battle that they showed. Do you remember what that was?
I believe the first one they showed, wasn't it Bloodbound versus Fireslayers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fireslayers had that really long impenetrable line, and all the Khorne troops just bloodthirsters flying into the line, getting massacred and not doing any damage. But then Khorne actually won because of the scenario. Because the Fireslayers had retreated so far they didn't have time to reach the objective.
It was incredible. The Fireslayers player was playing very conservative, just and laid all his models out in a straight line. I thought, what the hell is he doing? But the commentators said, well, they're kind of spreading the odds, really. So to get objectives and to, be where they need to be. Anyway, so this Bloodbound force comes charging down. I'm just thinking, it's game over for these Fireslayers with only 1 wound each, right? And they just took this charge on their beards like it was nothing. And I think it was only a bit of movement shenanigans that helped the Chaos win. I think it was a Chaos War Shrine that won the day in the end.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, if you've got a killer combo, it often relies on you having units in close proximity to each other or laid out a certain way. So if there's a scenario that relies on you moving around a lot, having that huge block of 40 troops that have to be this close to these many characters, it's not ideal when you have to be moving around to pick objectives off.
Yeah.
I think quite a few of these, it's like the last battle plan, you had to have 5 or more models on the objective, and there was 2 objectives to claim to get a major victory. And me and the guy that I played, we both had Stormcast, and he had 1 10-man unit of Liberators, so he could potentially have been able to do it, although he would have only been able to claim 1, and he didn't have 5 models of any other unit. So I think sort of these big, as you said earlier about the Moon Clan were quite a popular list. I think it really does favour kind of bigger units
with lots of people, lots of creatures. Moon Clan Grots, but it's basically goblins, right? You wouldn't think they would be a go-to army, would you?
You'd imagine people would run out of time playing them as well, unless they actually bring a broom with them to push them forward.
Yeah, did they have like hundreds of models, Amy?
Yeah, I think there was. I saw one list on Twitter, which I think I saw when I was there, but I think he had about over 100, maybe 120
night goblins.
Night goblins, and I think, oh my god, imagine having to move all of them. Like that would just take, the turns would last forever, like just for movement. So
now, Amy, I mean, I hope you had a good look at all the tables, and everyone wants to know: did you see a squig gobber?
I don't think so. There might have been one, but I don't recall seeing one.
The competitive choice, the squig gobber.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We've had some comments in the audience. Well, obviously it's going nuts in there, but I have to filter through people who are just chatting among themselves and people who have something relevant to say. Let's see, so Sam H says they need more cameras. Well, they had the one big overhead camera, which they couldn't zoom in that far with, and then they had the one other camera that they would cut to occasionally to look and prove the models were actually painted. So I think they probably will set up multiple shots next time, because we saw on the Friday that they had this big camera like on an arm above the table, didn't they? Pointing right down, and they didn't have much else. So possibly in the future they could add audio for the players, If they don't want the actual world to hear that, because there might be some unsavory language going on, they could just have that like going into earpieces for the commentators, so they actually know what's going on. So they would be able to make informed commentary rather than just guessing what's going on, which they were forced to do a lot of the time, which you imagine would get quite difficult when you've been commentating for like 8 hours and you can't really see what's going on. You can just see that certain models are being moved.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anyone else in the comments with anything that we want to read out right now? James McPherson, who was there, said his plague claws were in a formation called Foul Rain that gives him rerolls to hit and +1 to wound. And there were loads of Storm Fiends there, apparently. Apparently there were lots of Storm Fiends and Warp Lightning Cannons. Saw a lot of those on the stream. Now, there is something that we need to address, I feel. So, Mr. Rem, over the last few weeks, you have levelled certain accusations at members of Games Workshop, and particular Warhammer TV's painting staff, regarding the theft of secrets, if you will,
Andy,
techniques.
Let me put the record straight on this. I just a very creative being, you know? I don't go magpieing other people's ideas. I just like come up with stuff and share it, you know? And what's happened is people have come to me and says, "Hey, up Remington, they're using your idea." So I'm not instigating these lawsuits or anything. They're being offered to me, and you know, every day I'm seeing new things. You know.
Well, it's actually spreading.
Apparently, Duncan's thinking about using the Remington roller, and I only wheeled out that idea last week. You know, I don't know if he said anything to you, Amy, because I believe.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
First of all, there is one accusation I would like to level at Mr. Duncan. Now, it's not a particularly revolutionary technique or anything, but last week on Facebook, when I was posting pictures of my beautiful Dracoths, people were asking me for advice, obviously, being the pro painter that I am, on particularly how to paint the scales, and they were also asking whether I thought that would translate to a Star Drake, the techniques I used. And I said, I'm sure it probably would. It's just a lot of dry brushing. Make sure you do it first before you paint anything else, because it's the messiest stage, and you don't want it getting onto any other part of the model that's already painted. I sit down to watch Warhammer TV's stream, and guess what piece of advice Mr. Duncan dispensed in almost those exact words? Exactly. So I think he's been reading my Facebook posts. It wasn't just that he suggested the same thing, it was the wording was so eerily similar, he must have been just reading it off the page in front of him from my post.
Well, I mean, here at Remington Towers, we've decided to take a different ploy in this kind of Game of Thrones of hobby ideas, if you will. And what we've decided to do is take some of the kind of ideas from other people that are in fetus stage of development and just take them into the next level, take them to marketable ideas.
Before you actually spill any ideas, Mr. Rem, I think...
No.
Well, before you offer us any ideas at all tonight, anything at all, I think you should probably look at a picture and ask for an explanation, because we've long wondered who could be leaking this information to Mr. You suspected it was me, but of course if you're stealing my ideas, surely it's not me. So I think I should pop up this screen share right now, and then let the interrogation begin, Mr. Remington. What do you think of that?
Oh my God. Well, look at Duncan. He looks like let's go back to that picture. Can you just lock on that picture, Andy? Duncan looks so pleased with himself. It looks like he's just received £1 million. He looks very, very smug. And Amy looks kind of like the recipient of, I don't know. She looks very pleased with herself, Amy. I hope you are. That's okay. I get new ideas every week. I don't care. So which idea did you tell him?
He asked me. It was just really funny actually, because of if people saw the Warhammer TV tip of the day today. But anyway, I told him about my blood effects on the weapons, and he thought that was really good about how you can use a sponge to sponge on the blood god to get blood droplets or blood swipes. And then today I saw on the Warhammer TV tip of the day blood effects, and I thought, has he just gone back into the studio after I told him that and filmed it? But he actually used a brush, so I don't know. Maybe he's trying to disguise the fact that he's getting his tips from.
It's truly possible, and Amy. But I've done, I'm one step ahead of you both. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I can proud to announce, have invented and manufactured a brand new hobby device. Okay, going to be on general sale very, very soon. And I'm proud to release the first of my $2 million ideas tonight. Yes. Inspired by your conversation with Duncan, I'm proud to present the Remington finger sponge.
Oh my, and it's not a cake.
No, it's not a cake. There you go. So how this works is you dab your finger into a pot of paint, and then you kind of drag your finger down a hard surface. It could be a wall, the wall of your prison cage, maybe, Andy. And then you basically dab the area of the miniature on that you want to create this sponge effect. So there you go. The only thing missing is the Remington trademark, which my lawyers are working on.
Pending.
It's pending.
Who knew that finger painting was going to make a comeback?
Now, I'm pretty sure Games Workshop don't do a finger sponge.
Well, they may do now.
They may do now, and if they do now, you know where you saw it first. That's all I'll say.
Indeed. So, I think it might be time for a little game, don't you? Because I think the audience have been salivating over there quite long enough, waiting for the latest installment of the most popular wargaming YouTube game out there. That, of course, being What the Hell Is That?
Oh, wow.
So, before we go to it, a couple of things first of all. Obviously, the sponsors of this show and What the Hell Is That? Blight Forge have some lovely miniatures to show off this week.
Oh, wow, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, look at that little Boyd.
It could definitely do with a bit of finger sponging, though.
Well, maybe that's the kind of effect that you could use on the bottom of the cloak here, or is that more of a job for dusting?
Yes, I think he definitely needs the finger.
And then, not only that, we've also got this to look at.
Wow, that's awesome.
Look at the blood.
That deserves to be published. That picture is brilliant.
That's really good.
Look at those icicles and everything.
Possibly some dusting. Could be you somewhere at the miniature.
Could be. So, of course, folks, last week you would have seen a picture of the prize for the first round of What the Hell Is That winners to compete over. So, if you want to be added into the pool to potentially win that prize, then you'll have to win this week's What the Hell Is That?
Hold on a minute, Andy. So whoever wins this competition wins one of these miniatures?
Not these miniatures. We showed off the miniature that's up for grabs last week. And then the first few winners of What the Hell Is That are going to be put into a pool, and then one of them is going to win that miniature. And then we'll have a different miniature next month.
Wow. That's amazing.
If you missed it, you'll have to go back and watch last week's episode to see what it is. But to put yourself in that potential winning pool, you will have to identify the 4 miniatures on the next screen, which you may be able to see if you're eagle-eyed. It's actually titled Bald. It is a bald-themed What the Hell Is That? There are 4 bald heads which I will present on the page for you. If you can identify all 4 miniatures, you will instantly win. If it's been a while and no one's getting all of them, then it'll just go to whoever has the most. So, while I get ready to switch over the page, I think it's time for everyone's second favourite theme tune. Take it away.
What the hell is that? 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 Only Andy and Remington know, and maybe Amy.
Well, folks, what the hell is that? 4 shiny bald heads in front of you. Which models do they come from? So, without giving anything away, either of you recognise these models? How many do you think you know?
Do you have to be very specific about the model, or can you just say that's you could say that's a troll?
Well, for example, you wouldn't just be able to say it's a troll, you'd have to specify whether it was a river troll or a stone troll.
Well, I think I can guess one of them.
But not 4.
I think I might know 2.
Well, I can tell you that they are all currently available miniatures. So,
I think I've got 2, actually. I've got 2.
is anyone going to get 4?
And these are all fantasy / Age of Sigmar models.
Yes, they are. We've had a guess from Fluffy Dread, but it only lists 3 miniatures. The guess is Warhammer Giant, Ogre Tyrant, Von Karstein Vampire. Well, I'm going to tell you, one of those is correct. Let's see. Anyone else guessed 4?
Mini Warrior has said Gene Stealer Cultist, Space Marine, Sigismund, don't know what that is, and Knocked Degog.
Well, I'm afraid not, Mini Warrior. As you know, there wouldn't be any 40k miniatures in this.
Now, the Stronghold TV is a very, very experienced ogre enthusiast, and he's guessed 4. Do you want to know what they are, Andy?
Go for it.
The Ogre Ledgebelcher, the Aelguzar Gargant, a Warrior Priest, and a Vampire Lord.
Ooh, that is painfully close. That is 3 correct. Very, very close. One of them is quite difficult, actually. Definitely a very difficult one. I wouldn't be able to get all of these. I would probably get 2 of them if I hadn't set this up myself.
Do you think, is it the bottom right one that's hardest?
It could be.
I think it could be.
Oh, we've got some more guests here. Let's see. We've got a guess from Adam Frankfort. We've got Warhammer Giant, Ogre Leadbelcher, Blood Reaver, Warrior of Chaos. Again, that is very, very close. That is 3 correct. Dum, 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 dum,
Wow, so we've got a tie with 3 correct. Mickey Jenver's saying a Warrior Priest, Leadbelcher, Giant, and a Slaughter Priest.
3 correct.
Wow. Gloom Dreaded Gaming has come up with some interesting ones. Pickle Sandwich, a Whopperito, a Currywurst, and a Sponge.
Well, no. I would like to say one of those is correct, but in fact, none of them are.
Ben B is saying a Warhammer Giant, a Khorne Blood Reaver, which you've not had that before, a Warrior Priest, and a Vampire Lord.
3 correct.
Oh, I think that was a different 3 than the others 3. Maybe. Fluffy Dread.
Oh, by the way, I think you might have missed one out up here.
Oh, wait a sec. Wait.
Let's see, because I think someone might have actually got this one right.
Oh, go for it.
So, let's just check up here. Okay, Dino Titan Edition said Ogre Leadbelcher, Ale Guzzler, also known as Giant, Sigmar Priest, and Khorne Blood Reaver. We have a winner, folks. Dino Titan Edition has it. So, to identify these heads, down in the bottom left we have the Ale Guzzler Gargant, the Giant. In the top left we have a Warrior Priest of Sigmar. I would have thought that would throw some people off because he's got a bit of a weird head wound going on there.
I thought that was a dwarf.
Nope. And the top right is a Leadbelcher, which is quite distinctive if you've seen that particular model.
That little bit of flame near the ear gave it away.
And then the bottom right is actually a Blood Reaver.
Wow, an amazing paint job that is.
So Dino Titan Edition with the win. So that name will be added to the potential winners of the first prize.
Well done, Dino. You win a collector's item there.
Potentially. Well then.
Well, is it time for the brand new instalment of Remington's Rumour Mill?
You know, I think it probably is.
Now, I've been working on, well, I say working on, only for a couple of minutes before the show, but a brand new theme song for this brand new segment of the show, in which I delve into the realm of the interwebs and find out all the juicy gossip about Age of Sigmar. Okay. Remington's rumour mill, Remington's rumour mill. You can believe everything he says. Remington's rumour mill, Remington's rumour mill. Remington talks to a bird called Kez. Remington's rumour mill, Remington's rumour mill. He trolls the internet every week. Remington's rumour mill, Remington's rumour mill. He'll go straight when GW won't speak.
Now, Remington, is it true that in your rumour seeking this week, you actually went straight to the source? But unfortunately,
yes.
Unfortunately, no Age of Sigmar information at all was found on the back of the ketchup bottle.
I'm telling you, I grilled a GW member of staff, right, who works for, I can't say. I'm just becoming just like them, aren't I?
I did witness this grilling, by the way.
I grilled him for, I tell you what, I did it for you guys out there. I properly grilled him from everything from price points to release schedules to why don't they do more Age of Sigmar stuff instead of stupid 40k Space Marines, everything. I said it like you wanted to hear it. And what did I get back? Well, a few morsels of information which I took on board and
let's just point out, you deemed these to be morsels, because what you were actually doing, you were throwing out ridiculous suggestions like fishmen, goat people, and you were staring at his face to see if it set off a little twitch, which would clue you in that there might be something in the pipeline related to one of those words.
I tell you what, he must have. He was licking his lips and rubbing his hands together, and he suddenly disappeared. And I think he went straight upstairs just to write down all the amazing ideas that I did stupidly, spoken out loud to him. Yes, fishmen was one of the ideas. Goat people. Loads of the ideas that I said, he said, well, we've actually already done that.
Pygmies.
He liked the idea of pygmies. I talked about Famir. I said, why not do some more Famir instead of Space Marine shoulder pads? And he didn't say no to that. Yeah. He said he's been working on stuff that's going to come out over the next year. And he specifically said goat people.
I'm pretty sure he did not.
And then laughed, and then there's a little pause, and then he laughed just like that. So I think that was a nervous laugh. And he tried to make it into a joke because he was like, oh no, I've just given this plot away. I better just make out that it was just a ridiculous idea.
You might be reading a little too much into that, because I think what he was actually talking about was that there are technically goat people already in the Silver Tower. So I think what he said was something along the lines of, well, they're in Silver Tower.
Yeah, and so that led me to believe that there'll be Silver Tower expansions on maybe, you've got the Zinchian Beastmen, so maybe they'll have their own little box. There you go, Scutlings. There's nothing really new about that. But then I said, what about Snake Men? And his eyes went like that. Flying snakes. But not dragons. I mean, there were so many ideas. I just can't recall them all now. So, what else have I got for you guys? Well, I have some juicy details. Here's the rumour. The rumour is that we will receive a new book called The Allegiances of the Realms. Date expected September. It's a softcover book. The new book to update all existing factions with allegiance abilities. New command traits, artifacts, and laws. Estimated cost £10 to £15.
That would sound very reasonable.
Plus, on the rumour mill, we've heard that the General's Handbook will have frequent updates. Maybe that's why it's so cheap.
They did actually talk about that bit on the live stream. I don't know whether they particularly confirmed it or gave any time frame, but they did say that the General's Handbook would be updated with new armies in it and tinkering with points levels in the future. So rather than giving you a whole new book for your army, you'll just be able to buy the new General's Handbook, which would fit in with all your armies and tell you how many points everything is now.
Yes, and I think it's going to stop people power gaming as well. So now we've seen that the Savage Orcs can have this ridiculous, power trip. I think they might curb that, which is, you can't just have it so certain factions are just too good. It's got to kind of be constantly changing, so that's a good thing.
Well, I think we've got Amy here, who's obviously now an expert on tournament play. Who do you think are the most powerful faction? You can have more than one, I suppose, if you think a few of them are right up there.
Yeah. I think definitely Beast Claw Raiders are very, very good. Judging by I think there was a couple of them there. I think whenever you sort of talk to people about their games against them, it was always like, it was just like tabled or taken out in 10-3 or 10-4 or really early, and wasn't able to do what their army what they wanted to do. So yeah, I think it's all these things that deal out mortal wounds, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't have any kind of protection against that.
Mr. Rem and his Thunder Tusk in the first turn, dishing out 6 mortal wounds on a 2+, for instance.
Yeah.
So I do remember something else I said to him, and he said, "Do you know what? Us guys upstairs, we're just like you guys. We're just fans, and we just like chat hobby stuff all day. You know, there's no like Gandalf with a long silver head, wig, and beard up there. You know, they're just guys and girls."
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We've never been in there, so it could actually all be run by Oompa Loompas.
Exactly. This guy could be just the gatekeeper of the first level of the Silver Tower. There might be multiple layers guarded by different bosses.
Now, looking at the comments here, we have got some rumour mill type stuff, which may not be a rumour, this may be pretty much confirmed. Mr. Gary Waddingham says that Blood Bowl is November, according to Guys at the Open Day.
Wow.
Okay. So that means there's some time for some juicy Age of Sigmar releases before that.
Yeah, there is. You know, and if there isn't, you know, I've been, busy working the wheel to come up with my second $1 million idea. Are you ready, folks?
Well, before you give it out, members of the audience, as Mr. Remington dispenses this idea, feel free to type in the chat a value that you would put on it. I'm assuming it's not going to be $1 million, but how much would you pay to have the sole rights to this idea, basically? Take it away.
Here we go. Now, people don't like painting lots of the same model. It's all right painting one or two, just to work out your style, and then you perfect it. And then you look over and you see a box full of grey, unpainted, unbase-coated miniatures. And you just think, I can't be arsed with this. Maybe I should pay someone. Or maybe I should purchase the Remington Batch Painter. Here we go. Open your wallets, guys, because this is going to blow your minds.
Now, before you show us this,
it's too late. There you go.
I was going to say, slavery is illegal, but it doesn't actually look like a small slave. It does actually look like a brush.
Now, this is an idea I didn't dare say to the gatekeeper at Games Workshop, because I knew he'd be straight onto the manufacturer and designer making their own GW ones. But here you go. Here's mine. So basically, what you do, you get get five models, stick them to a ruler.
They have to be identical models, though.
Yes, I suppose so. Hold the ruler in the air. So in front of you, you had 5 models equally spaced to the spacing on the Remington batch roller brush. Okay? Apply paint to the batch brush and batch paint your models in a jiffy. And there you go.
Well, Dino Town Edition says $5. Dead Gamer, $2. Dreddy says 25 cents. Bazooka J Rambo, 20 rats. Stronghold TV, 2 teeth. Cerulio SH actually says €500. I think maybe you're giving him too much credit there. Amy, what do you think? As a renowned painter, how much would you pay for this invention?
I think it's quite revolutionary. Maybe Let's think. How much is the Games Workshop Artificer brush? Do you reckon it's worth
About £15.
£15? Yeah.
Now, I haven't. I'm sorry, but I haven't mentioned some of the exclusive features this brush contains. Now, can you see my mouse there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, these little pinholes are removable, so you can take away brushes. So you might only want to paint 2 models the same. Therefore, you just take away the brush heads you don't need. Now, these are quite large brushes, but you can change them to fine detail or medium size or duster detail brushes or whatever you want. You can even attach the Remington roller on top of this. And this is our exclusive patented design right there. So there you go.
Well, that's actually inspired me a little bit, and I've thought of a $1 million idea of my own that I don't have a picture for. But what it is, essentially, if you think of the mechanics of... It's like a jack-in-the-box, but it like fires a boxing glove out and punches you in the face. You've all seen those on TV. Now imagine that, but with a paintbrush. Not only that, it comes with a turntable. It's called the Paint Stabber. So, imagine my finger as the brush. In fact, you don't need to, because we've got an actual brush right here. Here we go. So, you set a timer on it, how often you want it to stab the paint, and then you attach miniatures to the turntable with fully painted apart from the eyes. Then, as it comes around and gets to the eye portion of the miniature, stab, stab, turns, stab, stab, eye dots, precision, without human error. What do you think about that one? I think that is a surefire hit.
Sounds excellent.
Well, you'd need someone to manufacture that idea. And I think you'd have to take that to Remington Towers to mass produce that. And we'll give you a good 5% of that, because obviously we're doing all the hard work. I'm going to just take you got the mode, the mead, and the medium, haven't you, in maths? I'm not very good at maths. But
well, you may have the mead in maths, but most people aren't allowed to drink in school.
The mead and the mode and the medium. Well, which one is the average? Is it the mean?
Yeah.
Or is it the medium? The mean.
The mean.
The mean. You look like you're good at maths, Amy. The mean. Well, people have priced up the Remington batch paintbrush, and we've had some 25 cents to 500 euros to £25. What do you think the mean would be?
We would have to go through and look at all of the...
You would. So I'm just going to say very reasonable £5, 49 pence. Now, you may not think that's $1 million idea, but guess what? What if I sell 10,000 of them?
Well, that's still not quite $1 million, is it?
What if I sell 100,000 of them? 200,000 of them. Yes, 200,000 Remington batch paint brushes.
Well, it depends on your production costs, I suppose. How much are they going to cost you to create?
I can't disclose that information.
It is revolutionary technology.
Yes. I think it might cost about £5 to make, so we're going to have to charge £10.
Mini Warrior is shocked that Remington is not good at maths.
Why? I hate maths. I hate maths. The problem with maths is that you can be right in maths. You're either right or wrong. There's no in between.
And you like the more kind of artsy, well, technically I was wrong, but here's what I was going for kind of subject.
You can always wriggle your way out of an artsy problem, but you can't wriggle your way out of a mathsy problem.
You certainly can't. I've actually noticed that the standard of people's maths in the just general wargaming tournament scene is actually not that high. At the end of games at tournaments, for example, the most recent Kings of War tournament that I went to, at the end of the game, when you have to add up how many points worth of models you've got left, how many they killed, and so on, everyone gets the phone out, starts going through their calculator, putting it in about 4 times until they finally get it right. I'm just reading my page, adding them up as I go down. I'll tell my opponent what it came out to. And then occasionally my opponent will say, is that right? As if, what? Someone's adding up numbers in their head? How outrageous. And then they go through on the calculator to check that I've got it right. And then they get it wrong on the calculator. So they do it again, and then they got the number that I originally had.
Sorry, were you talking about maths? I got
Yes.
lost after you said maths. Yeah, sorry. I bet you were good at maths, weren't you, Andy?
I was pretty good.
I knew you would be, because you're very logical and calculated and precise.
Well, it's my long hair, you see. It's the source of my intelligence.
So, Andy, are you going to reveal the real Andy 2D6 head?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
You do. I think you're rather shy, aren't you? Because it's just been shaven.
I think that people would immediately tune out of the show once they'd seen the grand reveal. That's all they're waiting for. So I think we're going to save that till right at the end. Wow. So anyone who's watching this recorded now is just going to be skipping straight ahead to the last 2 seconds of the video, I think. But we have got a rather juicy segment left to go.
But I have to go, Andy.
You have to go right now.
I have to go. I've got a massive long day tomorrow, man.
Does that mean that you're foregoing the next chapter of the Forest of Rem for this week?
Well, can it be a short chapter?
It certainly can.
Will there be a human encounter in it?
That would make it significantly longer, but there could be.
Okay, let's see it. Go on. I've got 5 minutes. Go.
Okay, right. Time to screen share. Bum 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 bum. It's the Forest of Remington Steel. Bum 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 bum. As you may recall, last week on the Forest of Rem, somewhat young Remington darted into the forest after a mystery cloaked potential assailant. Remington, wielding his mighty mandolin while completely in the nude, caved in the skull of the fleeing being. Unable to identify it, all he found, first of all, on his fallen, mangled mentor, was a small amulet reading Remington. All he found on the mangled corpse of his victim, in his naked state, was a map leading to 3 potential locations: a cave, a river, and somewhere else he's not allowed to go yet because I don't remember the 3rd location. Members of the audience were giving suggestions, and people actually suggested that you should go back to the inn. So I'm going to give you a chance right now. Would you like to go back to the inn?
Was there something I missed out there? Maybe because I ran through the bar, didn't I?
Yes, and you were unable to translate any of the ancient runes on the map. So maybe if you have some human encounters, you could perhaps uncover some of the secrets located within the map.
Okay, I will slowly turn from the forest and gingerly walk back with my hands between my legs towards the inn.
Very well. Remington turns back towards the inn, slowly, gingerly, with his hands between his legs, even though he's technically already wearing some form of loincloth, so that wasn't really necessary. That's his only item of clothing. As you approach the inn, somewhat young Remington, an argument can be heard bellowing forth from the windows. One of the voices sounds oddly Dwarden, the other one clearly human. The Dwarden voice seems angry, gruff, and foul. The language does not bear repeating. Would you like to enter the inn slowly and gingerly, as you have been walking? Would you like to burst into the inn, or would you like to peer in through the window?
I shall burst in, and we've had some requests that I ask the people at the inn about goatmen and fishmen. I'm going to choose fishmen. I'm going to burst in and go, fishmen!
Very well. Somewhat young Remington pushes open the door with all his might, keeping one hand between his legs unnecessarily due to the presence of the loincloth. The door swings open. "Fishmen!" he bellows. All of the patrons of the inn turn to look at him. The small Dwarden, stroking his beard in a quizzical manner, turns to Remington and says, "What of it?" How do you respond?
I shall say, you know about the fishmen?
The small, bearded Dwarden turns away and chuckles. "He wants to know if I've heard of the fishmen." He turns back. "I am one." He reveals gills on his neck. How do you respond? Do you immediately attack him, wielding your mandolin, or do you have a pleasant conversation with him?
I shall go, I knew it. GW, we're going to release them all along. And I shall raise my mandolin high in the air, well, what's left of it, because I did smash it on that guy's head. And I shall wave it around protectively in front of myself.
As the patrons of the inn look on, somewhat young Remington needlessly waves his mandolin around, with nothing currently threatening his personal space at all. Believing it to be some kind of ancient mystical ceremony taking place, many of the patrons rush back to their rooms. The innkeeper hides beneath the bar. The small Dwarden fishman dives into some kind of large trough, where presumably he would be much more equipped to breathe. You are now alone in the inn, save for a small, cloaked figure in the corner. The last cloaked figure that you ran across has had its skull caved in. I would advise a little more caution with this one.
I shall say...
Rocking back and forth in a rocking chair, studying an ancient tome. Do you approach this figure? Do you cave its skull in with your mandolin? Or do you return to your chamber, perhaps?
I shall approach the strange figure, pull out the strange stone from my loincloth, and say, you there. Tell me, what is the meaning of this?
The figure looks up from the tome. You see that it is in fact an old, old man. So old, in fact, that the contours of his face look as though they have been dusted. He's incredibly wrinkly, Mr. Remington, is what I'm getting at. He looks up to your face, leans forward, peers down at the amulet, then back to your face, then down to the amulet, then back to your face again. And he speaks slowly. "You are Remington. I knew you'd come." He grins widely from ear to ear and snatches the amulet from your grasp, studying it with a small magnifying glass. Do you snatch it back from him, cave his skull in with a mandolin, or wait?
I shall wait. Wait, I will wait. Is he taking off his cloak?
No.
I thought I could borrow that maybe to just hide my dignity.
Okay, I'm going to give you the other option to ask if you could steal his cloak.
Can I gently put my arm around him while he's studying the stone and slip it off?
You can try, but I'm going to need you to roll a dice for that one.
Okay. I have my Remington dice at the ready. Now. Okay, here we go. Remington! It's a 1.
As you reach into the ancient man's cloak, attempting to slip it off subtly, your hand seems to get caught in loose skin on his back, and as you rip, part of his body seems to come loose. You look down. You are holding the bloody stump of an arm in your hands. You have torn off the old man's arm. He writhes about on the ground in agony, spurting blood from his shoulder, where once there was an arm. Do you attempt to hastily reattach it? Do you quickly grill him for information on the amulet before he bleeds to death? Or do you have some other course of action that's bound to lead to more misery?
I'm just going to pretend nothing happened, place the arm on the table, and carry on just nodding my head and I would just gently say under my breath, "So what do you think?"
After writhing about for what seems like an eternity on the ground, the old man suddenly stiffens up. He seems at death's door, but a strange presence overcomes his face. His eyes roll back into his head. He looks up and says, "Remington is the chosen one. Only you can bring about the end." He is dead. Patrons peer around the doors of their rooms into the main chamber. They see you placing an arm down onto a table. They see the old man dead on the ground, and their looks of bewilderment quickly turn to anger as they rush the room. At this point, Mr. Remington, you have a potential life or death decision on your hands. Do you stay, or do you flee? And I think we will save that decision, along with any other little elaborations you may want to throw on there, for next week.
That's amazing.
There we go. So, yet again, you've needlessly butchered an innocent.
All I did was slip his top off.
That's what happens when you roll a 1. I don't think you should be rolling any dice while shouting Remington during this thing. So if anyone has any suggestions for the next course of action for this story, you should leave them in the permanent comments. Not right now, because then we won't see them for next week. And I think we can probably start wrapping up then, if Mr. Remington really has a long day tomorrow, and it is getting quite late. It's 17 minutes past 11.
I have to go, guys. I have to go. But I loved it tonight. It was a brilliant show. They're just getting better every week, aren't they?
Isn't that odd? Because there hasn't been anything new for Age of Sigmar for over a month now. Yet the show is going from strength to strength.
And if you want to find me on Facebook, I have my own Remington Steel page now, where I post up pictures of models, and I can just post anything on fellow Wargamers pages without being recognised. It's fantastic.
Until Facebook discover that your name is not in fact Remington Steel. I mean, who could possibly see through that clever ruse? Old Man Remington and his quest into technology yet again takes another turn. So, of course, thanks, Amy, for joining us and providing us with some wonderful insight on Warlords. And do you have any parting advice for anyone that may be thinking of attending an Age of Sigmar matched play event in the near future?
I think there's I'm not sure of the next one, but I'd maybe just, I don't know really. I guess I don't feel like I've got good advice. I think my army wasn't very competitive, but I think I would just go and have fun and just don't worry too much about whether you're going to win, because I think even when you lose, you still have really good fun. But also I'd try out the campaign days. They're really good.
I think that is sound advice. Any kind of competitive gaming environment, if you can bring either low expectations or just a fun attitude, if you're the most laid-back person in the room, then whether you win or lose, you're still going to have a good time. If you're too tightly wound and crazy and obsessed with winning, then the only person who's going to have a bad day probably is you, or maybe your opponent. There you go, folks. So, it's time. Mr. Remington, would you like to provide us with some music?
Well, a kind of long, medium time ago, we had a nice bit of outro where I would compose a short piece of music for each viewer that types what they're thinking on the page. And I shall sing those words. I shall sing you out tonight. Let's see what happens. Will it be a narrative or will it be gobbledygook? Who knows? But I'll try and make it nice. Are you ready? Amy, you're going to start us off being our guest. I need the first word of the song.
Okay. Not I am. Warlords.
Warlords. Okay, so people in the chat box, write your comments now as I start singing about Warlords. Amy goes to Warlords. Love dancing mole rats with H. Suddenly the roof of the tavern collapses, and 5 heavily armored people assault Space Marines, drop in plunge helmet. Tasty cheese, Jacob's crackers. Tasty cheese and finger sponges. It's risky. Cake, nose, hair. Apple pies, fingers. Fingering $1 million idea with fishmen. We're stuck on fishmen. Large jars of fish eyes and onions of fishmen and whiskerers. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran down the clock. Hickory dickory dock, the clock struck 1 and the mouse entered the tournament. Remington! Butt funnel.
Folks, there's only one thing left to see before we end the show, and I think you know what it is. Are you mentally prepared? Bum, 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 bum. Where is the hair?